Today, I will be presenting my research that is based on work motivation and burnout of employees from the corporate sector of Pakistan and to see the moderating effect of gender and job tenure. So let's first understand what work motivation is. Work motivation is a critical factor that drives employee performance and goal achievement. It involves internal and external forces that guide and sustain the behavior of individuals towards their work objectives. It represents how motivated an individual is while working in a certain environment. The next thing that we would discuss is burnout. Burnout is a significant concern in today's environment, and it is characterized by emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion due to prolonged stress. It negatively impacts individuals' well-being and organizational effectiveness. One way or another, work motivation is linked with burnout, and we will see how. So, burnout is marked by emotional exhaustion and cynicism, and it significantly lowers work motivation that leads to disengagement and reduces enthusiasm. High work motivation, on the other hand, serves as a protective factor for burnout, and it enhances resilience and improves stress management. Burnout results in inefficacy and detachment that negatively affects work motivation, and that makes employees perceive that their work is meaningless. There is a cyclical relationship between work motivation and burnout, and it is also known as the negative feedback loop. For example, as work motivation decreases, the burnout increases, and in a similar way, as burnout decreases, work motivation increases. Now we will discuss the two of the moderating factors that we have over here. Those are gender and job tenure. Well, according to the researchers, women tend to experience more burnout as compared to men. And as the study is focused on the women of Pakistan and the men of Pakistan, women in Pakistan have to go through dual responsibilities, from managing the households to looking forward to the work, and especially given that it's a developing country and how women are being encouraged to work. This factor still remains that they also have other responsibilities in terms of managing their households and other psychological pressures, and therefore burnout is comparatively more in workplaces than in women, as suggested by the studies. Women also experience a stronger negative impact of burnout on their work motivation compared to men. Next, we'll talk about job tenure, which is our second moderator in this study. Employees with both short and long-term tenures may experience higher levels of burnout in terms of those who are there with the intermediate tenures. Long-term employees may exhibit lower motivation levels due to burnout, whereas employees with shorter tenures may face initial challenges as they're adapting to their new roles. This model shows us the conceptual model of the study. Work motivation is inversely related with burnout, and how gender moderates the behavior between the interaction of work motivation and burnout. And this shows how job tenure shows the moderating effect on the interaction of work motivation and burnout. There were three research objectives that we had in this study. The first was to examine the relationship between work motivation and burnout among corporate sector employees. The second was to investigate the moderating role of gender in the relationship between work motivation and burnout among corporate sector employees. The third was to investigate the moderating role of the moderating role of job tenure in the relationship between work motivation and burnout among corporate sector employees. Now we'll discuss the methodology. So we took 350 corporate sector employees. 230 of those were men, 120 were women. They were aged between 22 to 55, and their job tenure ranged from 1 to 10 years. We used two scales to measure work motivation. We used work intrinsic and intrinsic motivation scale. To measure burnout, we used burnout assessment tool. Data was collected to purposive sampling, and informed content was given to all participants. Now we will discuss the results of our study. So this is the descriptive statistics and the reliability coefficients between the work motivation scale and BAT. As you can see, there is a stronger reliability between work motivation and burnout, and there's a significant negative correlation that indicates that as work motivation increases, burnout tends to decrease. Now we further did moderation over here. As you can see, that gender significantly moderates the relationship between work motivation and burnout, and it has a stronger effect for males. And the overall model is significant. That also explains the 13% of the variance in burnout. Here's a graphical representation for the genders. As you can see, the slope for the male, which is quite steeper, indicates that work motivation is more effective in reducing burnout among male employees. In the similar way, as you can see, there is a flatter slope for female employees. That suggests that comparatively, there is a weaker association between work motivation and reducing burnout support. And it also shows that gender is a significant moderator. Here is the moderating role of job tenure for the relationship between work motivation and burnout. As you can see, job tenure moderates the relationship between work motivation and burnout, and it has a stronger effect at low tenure and a weaker effect at high tenure. And the model is also significant with a 12% variance in burnout. And as we discussed about the stronger effect at low tenure and weaker effect at high tenure, this is also something that is represented through this graph. As you can see, there are 3 representations for the employees of low tenure, high tenure, and mid-range tenure. You can see there's a steeper slope for low tenure, and it shows that motivation significantly reduces burnout in this group. In the similar way, we can see that high tenure employees are displaying a flatter slope over here, and it means that, as the work motivation increases, there's still a weaker chance that impact has on reducing the burnout in this specific group. So in conclusion, there's a significant negative relationship between work motivation and burnout among corporate sector employees. Gender has moderated this relationship, with male employees showing greater reductions in burnout, and as the motivation is increased, job tenure has also acted as a moderator, given that low tenure employees benefit more from work motivation. And furthermore, these findings highlight that we need tailored workplace interventions that also consider gender and job tenure differences. There were certain limitations for the study as well. The study was focused on the corporate sector of Pakistan, and this leads us to limiting generalizability to other cultural organizations. It also varies a lot. For example, I recently moved to Finland, and the work culture that is present in Pakistan is entirely different than it is present in Finland. In Pakistan, work culture is more towards the hustle, and in Finland, it's a really, really relaxed work culture. For instance, it's considered a bit disrespectful to work on Saturdays or to work after 4 o'clock, so that interventions are already present in Finland. The cross-sectional research design may cause inferences and how the relationship between work motivation, burnout, gender, and job tenure. The reliance was on self-report measures, so there might have been certain biases, and the moderators in the study were just linked to gender and job tenure, so further moderators' effects could be discussed later on. For the implications, as we can discuss, organizations may introduce tailored strategies that focuses on the unique challenges that are faced by women, and that can help in preventing burnout and sustaining work motivation. Work motivation-based support should also be provided to the onboarding employees, and it will also be provided towards those who have been previously working for a certain amount of years. For employees with a longer tenure, they can offer job redesign or mental health support. And it is also essential to create a personalized work motivation enhancing initiatives that may cater to the diverse need of individuals. Because a specific individual that comes in to work in a certain work environment may have a different backload on his head. So therefore, having a personalized work motivation may enhance their motivation to work and also reduce burnout. The references for the study, and that's all about it. If anyone has questions, I would love to answer. Yes, please.